we are Larry and Stella with Base Camp at Grand Lake. Our project for this year, before we start using our 2022 Micro Minnie FLX 2108DS travel trailer, is to redo the backsplash. Right when we first purchased this, we immediately didn't like it, and we've had a lot of the same problems that other people have had. It bubbles because it's not adhered, and then today Larry noticed a crack in it. And also over here, right from the first day we bought it, there's been a gap. So the service people did re-adhere this, but it's come apart from the wall again. So our project for the day is to redo this backsplash. We put towels over here to protect everything. And through the video, we're going to walk you through each step of this process. But before we do that, I'm going to take you over here to the table to show you the supplies that we'll be using. So these are the tiles that we chose to use. They do have an adhesive backing on them. And so we'll measure everything so that they fit just right. You take this off and put it on the wall. And we had read about different brands of tiles that are ideal for RV backsplashes. And this is one that had really positive reviews. The materials are actually wood-based. It's not a vinyl type of tile. Other supplies we have here, you do have to use a sealant that goes around the sink area down here and along the side of the wall. And then other supplies, we'll use this and this to clean the wall once we get the backsplash off. Have some razor blades and this measuring device. And then how we're going to cut the tiles to fit, we have a table that we'll set up, and Larry will use the razor blades to measure and then mark off each spot. So we will put a pause right now, and then we'll get things ready, and then we'll restart the camera once we get going.
All right, welcome back to our backsplash project. We are about to remove the actual backsplash, but before we did that, we took down the valance, the blind, removed the frame from the window, and we are about ready to just kind of remove the silicone seal that is adhering the, we'll call it the edges of the backsplash. So we're going to kind of work through this, and then we'll jump back in here and let you guys know our progress in a minute.
So Larry is right now in the process of removing this first section from the wall after breaking the sealant on the side and then a little bit in front of the sink. But it's a bit challenging because when the dealership had attempted to re-adhere this section to the wall, they added a lot of extra sticky substance in order to get it to adhere. So that is why taking this first section off is a little more challenging than what it has been for other people who we have seen do this. So what he is doing, instead of using the scraper blade right here that he had purchased, he's actually having to use the razor blade section by section and run it up and down from top to bottom to remove the adherence material in order to get it peeled back from the wall. Alright, as you can see, this is a bit of a challenge, so we will post back in a few minutes with our progress. Stay tuned. Alright, as you can see, we are now making a little bit more progress with getting this removed. On the wall, I'm going to try to zoom in a little closer. There's a very, very thick residue here that's going to take some time to scrub off. And as Larry continues going down the wall, he's using the razor blade to cut through the sealant that's along the bottom of the sink. He's doing it in sections as he goes. Stay tuned.
Okay, we just took the backsplash off. As you can see, the adhesive, there's not a whole ton of it on there. Not really too challenging to get off. We did end up breaking a piece off to kind of just help get it over the faucet and make it a little bit easier to get that last piece. But like Stella mentioned, as you can see, it was broken there on the left-hand side. And so yeah, now we're gonna move on to the next steps. Really, is just kind of cleaning and prepping before we start putting the tiles on. So until that next step begins, we'll see you soon.
So to provide an update, we are still in the grueling process of trying to remove the adherent substance, and it's proving to be a lot more challenging than we had anticipated. And actually, along the side of the wall, to the left of Larry's hand, some of the wallpaper right down there had actually peeled off of the wall. So what we're going to have to do when we add our tiles is we're going to need to extend it a little bit further down to the edge of the countertop here instead of over here in order to cover up that section of the wall. We will keep working at this and post back and when we're done. Okay, so here we are back. We have the big clumps of the adhesive off the wall. It was much more difficult than we had anticipated. We used the scraper, we used a razor blade, and our fingers and our fingernails to get it off. The area of concern, however, is right here. As I mentioned earlier, it's actually coming off, taking the wallpaper off. So I think what we're going to have to do is just carefully take some of this wallpaper off so that the new tiles can adhere to the wall. So what we're doing right now is we can't get these thin scrapings off, so we're using this scratchy to gently rub back and forth and up and down to smooth out some of the bumps in the adhesive that's still on there that we can't completely get off. So hopefully we can get these areas smooth enough so there we can just clean the wall and begin the next step. We will post back soon.
Okay, we're about ready to set the first corner tile. So basically we're just squaring up the tile on the bottom and on the one edge. And this will be kind of our starting point, and we'll kind of go from there.
So we're back. We have 2 tiles up so far, and Larry's going to be putting up the third one. As you can see, we have quite a ways to go yet. My advice is to always buy extra tiles just in case you mess up on trimming some of them the way they need to be cut for the specific areas. And also, when you're adhering it to the wall, these are interlocking, 2 interlocking tiles. So one of the tiles we had to waste and save for hopefully something else so we can use it for, because we didn't adhere it right into the locking sections here, and it's really hard to do that because it's so sticky. Once you lay it down, it kind of is where it is, and then it's shot. So my advice again is to buy extra tiles. Larry's going to be adding the third bottom piece right now. And it looks like it would be simple, but it isn't. If you want to get it interlocked just perfectly, it is not easy to do. So sometimes what you have to do to get those interlocking sections to fit just perfectly is to actually tug on them a little bit, push them into place, each locking section, before you adhere the rest of the tile to the wall. All right, we will post back again in a little bit. Okay, so here is the finished product of our backsplash. And as I mentioned earlier, it was a lot more difficult than what we had anticipated. I have Larry to give you some of the details about what we did to finish this up.
All right, so Estella kind of mentioned some of the challenges that we had. Obviously, there's no such thing as square inside a trailer or a home for that matter. So we had a little bit of a challenge on the bottom here, just getting that final pieces to align along the counter and the back wall.
Right here.
And then the other part, wasn't super challenging, but we kind of worked our way around the window. Obviously the frame is back in now, but before we put the frame in, we used the Dremel tool just to kind of work the corners, so they kind of able to put the frame back in relatively with ease. The silicone or the sealant along the bottom between the countertop and the wall. Again, when you go to do this, you're going to want to use painter's tape, again, to run a top line, a bottom line, before you lay down the sealant, and then before the sealant removes, or cures I should say, remove the painter tape to give you that nice solid line. The last two pieces that we need to work on, we just need to lay a little bit of a bead of silicone on the edge here, and then we're going to just do another little silicone edge here as well, and that's it. Like Sel mentioned, it was a little bit of a challenge because the way the tiles are, they are interlocking, so that every piece kind of almost fit together like a jigsaw puzzle in a way. If we did it again, we probably might use something a little bit more squared up from a tile perspective.
Just plain square tiles versus interlocking tiles that have to fit perfectly inside of one another. That would have been a lot easier.
So that would have made things go much quicker for certain. But overall, if you take a good look at the end result, it absolutely is 110% or more better than what Winnebago had in here initially, and it gives it a little bit more of a pop versus that gray backsplash that was here previously. So that's the end of the project.
Reach out to us with any questions that you have, or post any comments on the bottom of the YouTube page. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be sealing this side now. The bottom is cured. We did that yesterday. So I wanted to show you how we did it with the painter's tape. We put painter's tape on both sides, and then I used this little wrench to run it up like this in between while we put the paint on the outside, and that way we had it perfectly even going all the way up. If we didn't have something to brace the tape against, then it would have been difficult to get that perfect section going all the way up. We did remove some extra old sealant from this section here. It was really difficult because of what the dealership had done. So we're going to get the sealant put on this side, and then we're going to get it put on the other corner as well today, as well as potentially trying to take this white sealant off, because the one that we have is clear and new manufacturers is white, so it just doesn't look really good. And then another thing that we're having trouble with is removing this strip of white sealant right here. We're going to try to figure out how to get that off because it's actually stuck on the wood on the wall. So we will post back later once we get this done. Okay, so now we're going to remove the paper tape. From the instructional videos that we had watched, they said once you apply the sealant, then wet your finger and run it up and down twice in the line to smooth the silicone. Let it sit on there for 5 minutes only, and then carefully and slowly remove the paper tape away from the sealant. They said you do not want to let the sealant completely cure and then remove the paper tape, so 5 minutes only. So now Larry is in the process of removing that paper tape and also being careful not to touch that inner edge because it does still have the wet sealant on it. So again, as you can see, he's pulling the paper tape out to the side away from the strip of sealant that we put on. So now we're going to start working on the other side and trying to get this sealant right here that's on the wood removed. And this should be a lot easier to remove down here. We're going to work on doing that, and then we'll post back later. Thank you.